Okay everybody, this is a video on cleaning the WeCreat Vista. First thing that you want to do is make sure that the machine is off, and then you're going to come back here and you're going to unplug everything from the edge all the way back to and including the 3-inch vent hose. Unplug all those from the machine. Okay, to undo these, the first one is the airline. It's a push-pull connector. The white rim on the top of it, you push it in with your fingers, and while it's pushed in, pull out on the airline, and it should come right out. Second thing that you're going to do is just unscrew this wire connector, pull it out. Next thing you're pulling out is the power. Next thing you're pulling out is the USB. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to undo this and undo the 3-inch hose. Now while you're doing this, look down the 3-inch hose and see if you got a bunch of stuff built up in there. Just like a dryer vent, that needs to be cleaned out every once in a while as well. Easiest way to clean that out is if you've got a vacuum cleaner that blows in reverse, or a leaf blower that you can stick in there and force that out the other end, or you can take it apart and clean it out individually, each piece. Okay, so you've got the machine down to this. Now you want to get that driver that came with your machine to take the little nuts out in the back. Okay, you're going to take out 9 screws in the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Some versions have a 10th screw down here. Okay. These 2 screws on the end are longer than all the rest of them, so when you go to put them back in, make sure you put the right screw in the right place. But once you get them all out, put them someplace in a cup or something so that you don't lose them, spill them or whatever. And once you have them all out, just kind of jiggle this a little bit and it should come right off, just like that. That exposes the back of your machine, and that exposes the fan here. The fan, when it's in this position, you can just kind of jiggle it and she'll come out. Remember that the tag was showing, so when you put it back together, you put it in the right way. But the fan just kind of plops down there, gives you easy access up in here to clean everything, and then to clean the fan. So I'm going to get the stuff, and I want to get to doing that. Okay, so I have got a small portable air compressor and an air nozzle on here, and I'm just going to blow air inside there to clean the most of it off. Then I'm going to come back and follow up with isopropyl alcohol on Q-tips. Clean everything up in there. And I'm not going to make you stay and watch, but just run your toothpick through there, or your Q-tip through there, and get all the junk off of it. Once that air is clean, then you go ahead and do the fan, basically by using your Q-tip with isopropyl alcohol on it. Clean each of the blades. Once you do the blades, clean the inside of the shroud, inside of the hubs, flip it over and do the other side as well. Okay, once you have that cleaned out as good as you want it, go ahead and take and stick your fan back in. Do not pull the wires any tighter than you have to. And when you stick this in there, just make sure that it's seated level with the rubber all the way around it. Okay. Once that's done, you can go ahead and you can put this cover back on the back. If you want, you can clean out the inside of your duct here before you do it. When you put this back on, you slide it up, in, and on. And then go ahead, open your can of screws, grab one of the short ones and grab the driver and just kind of line up one of the holes and get one started. And doing this one here is kind of hard. Once you get one of them started on that end, come back over here to this end. And remember, the one on the very end's a long one. Gotta line it up. And get it started. Once you have a couple of them started, then you don't have to hold it up. It should hold itself up. Okay, so you get a couple of them started, then you go ahead and put the rest of them back in. Okay, now while you're doing this, just get each of the screws started a little bit, and that way if you got to jiggle the board a little bit to try to get them lined up, you can. If you put them in tight, then there's no jiggling anything, so you might miss a screw hole. Kind of put them in loose. Once you get all of them started, then go back and tighten each and every one of them up. Okay, I've put them all back in. It looks like all my holes are filled up. Each of them have a screw in it, and my container has none left over in it before. These blue pieces here were just so you could see better where the screws came from. You don't need them. They're just a visual aid. Okay, now that that's done, what we're going to do is we're going to position the machine back into place and plug everything back in the back of it. When you're reattaching the 3-inch hose, you're putting this clip on it here, make sure that you're pinching the hose down on the plastic piece there so that it's solid. It's also a good time to inspect the hose to make sure there's not any holes in it. Any holes or gaps or anything right here, you're going to smell smoke in the room. So always make sure that this is airtight. Okay, then you're going to continue on down the machine and plugging back in the things that need to be plugged in. The first thing past the 3-inch hose is your USB cable. Plug it in there. And then your power cable. Plug it in there. And then the power for your air assist. It only goes in one way. There's a little divot here, and there's a little raised part there. Meet them up. Put it in the hole and tighten it down. There's going to be one attachment here that there's nothing on. And then the airline, just push it straight in. Again, it's a push-pull connector. Once you've pushed it in, it's good to go. So everything should be ready to go. Do not power it on just yet. I'll be right back. Okay, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and remove my grates. And then I don't know how you clean yours. If it requires soaking, now's a good time to set them start to soak. I just hit mine with some Dawn, the foaming Dawn. Let them sit for a little bit, rinse them off. And basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get any, you see some creosote or whatever on here. You're just trying to get the heavy stuff off. The cleaner they are, the less chance anything gets super hot, starts fire. So go ahead and take care of these. So the next thing I'm going to do, again, the machine is still off, so I can move anything on the inside of this. I'm going to take a brush and I'm going to knock any loose stuff I've got down into the crumb tray. Okay, now I'm going to take the crumb tray out. This spot. And I'm going to rinse out the crumb tray. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get this ready to take it off. First thing you're going to do is you're going to move the airline. Again, it's a push-pull connector. You push the top, the outside ring in, and then pull the hose out, and she'll come right out. Now this is just like taking the head off and putting it on the 2-watt. You let it tip down, put it in this position, and don't go any further just yet. Set it down just like that. Next, we're going to power on the machine. Once it turns on, gets powered up, it's going to come back over here to the home corner. When the head's at an angle, the front is the home corner. When the head is up and down, the back is the home corner. Alright, so we've got it powered on. Now we're going to go back over to the computer. Alright, before we go to the computer, see how the head is recessed back here in the housing? We need to get that to come out in order so that we can clean it. So we'll go over to the computer and I'll show you how to make that come out. Alright, I'm at WeCreat Make It. I got my 10-watt Vista showing as the on USB. Now I'm going to come over here to settings and I'm going to scroll down. And right here it says use when cleaning the laser head. Cleaning mode. I want to click on cleaning mode. It's going to ask me, did I take the rotary out? Yep, no rotary in there. I'm going to hit confirm. And what's going to happen is this is going to tell me make sure that my head is rotated at 90 degrees before I go to the next step. It is. You click the checkbox, then confirm. And what's happening now, you can hear it. It's extending that head out so that it can be cleaned. In just a second here, I'll switch over so you can see it. Alright, I had to move some stuff around to get a camera angle on it, but here you can see how far it's stuck out now so that it can be cleaned. So now I can continue on to the next step. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the power off. Anytime you manually slide this thing, you make sure it's turned off. So it's off. Now I'm going to get my screwdriver and I'm going to take out these 4 screws that hold this head in place. Okay, once you've got those 4 screws out, you can set it down. I always put a mouse pad down just so I don't scratch it. And you kind of pivot it around here, and there's a clip here. You have to push the top of the clip and then kind of jiggle it up. If you've never taken it off before, it's kind of hard first couple times, but then it gets easier with time. And now my head's detached and ready to be cleaned. Okay, the first thing I want to do is there's 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, that hold the cover on top of these fans. I'm going to take all 4 of these out, and when I do, then I'll be able to remove the cover and the fans. Take these screws, put them in your container so you don't lose them. Okay, next you can take the cover off of the fans. You can clean this. And then the fans are set in there in tandem. Remember, labels out. You can pull them towards you. And they set on top of a little shield. So the shield goes in and the fans go on top of it. Don't worry about disconnecting the fans. Just flip this around until you can get to them and then clean them out with Q-tips. Okay, next we're going to clean out inside the housing in here. They do not recommend using a brush in there because of the amount of wires and connectors and stuff in there. So you can use a bulb to clean it out. I'm going to use an air compressor to clean it out. If you do use an air compressor, regulate it down. Do not blow 120 psi through there. Regulate it down and then hit it with the air. Okay, so I've hit with air. Now I'm going to put the reducing screen back in. I'm going to put my fans back in. Remembering which side it says is up. It says keep this side up. Alright, once I get those pushed back in, then I'm going to put the cover on it. I'm going to get my screws out and I'll put them back in there. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, again, just start all 4 of these until they're all in, and then go around and tighten them down. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to flip this up. This part right here is basically a big, this part right here is basically a big heat sink. So we're going to be cleaning that off. But the first thing we need to do is we need to clean the air assist off. You'll see on this side here, there's an air line that comes up, hooks onto this, and this is where it spits out air as the laser's coming out as your air assist. Now this screw is not as easily noticeable as the others, but it's here on the side. And back it off. Do not lose it. Okay, and before you try prying that off there's a screw on this back side over here as well. Again, it's like a stud, so when you pull it out, it's little bitty. Try not to lose it. Now once those both are out, you can pull up on this. And kind of pull it off the side here. You can pull off the airline and get this off like that. Now you're going to want to clean in there, all around up here. I wouldn't detach anything, leave it like that. You can wipe this down here. They do not recommend taking that lens off. So let me clean it up, I'll be right back. Okay, I cleaned it off, I'm getting ready to put it back together. Next to the air assist here is a sensor or diode or whatever. Make sure you clean that off. Mine was dirty as heck. Okay, make sure you don't push the line back in there. If it gets pushed in a little bit, stick the screwdriver in, put your finger on the side of it, push back up. You're going to want to hook the airline back up to this as you're sticking it back inside. Okay, she's on. I need to finesse this back over the lens and get it stuck back on. Be there in just a second. Okay, when you go to stick this back on, make sure one of these wires isn't keeping you from doing it. Don't force it back in. Once you get it in there, you need to line it up to where you can put those 2 screws back in. And since those screws are so small, I'm going to put them back in using both hands. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so both screws are back in. My airline is still attached. Everything's cleaned. Everything's put back together. I went ahead and I cleaned this off with Q-tips with isopropyl alcohol on them. So the heat sink is cleaned as well. Okay, so once all that's cleaned, and it's all put back together, now I can reassemble the head. Okay, again, the machine is still off. I'm going to put the little cable back in here. I'm going to get my screws. going to take the head, put it back up on the mount, and put back in the 4 screws. Okay, all 4 screws are back in. I'm going to rehook my airline back up. Just line her straight up, push it in until she catches, and you're good. Take my mouse pad out. I'm going to go get my crumb tray and my grates, and I'm going to put them back in. Okay, the crumb trays are back in, the grates are back in. Now before I turn anything back on, I usually go through and make sure I've hooked everything back up, done everything I'm supposed to do. Once all that's done, then I'm going to go ahead and power the machine back on. Okay, I've powered it back on. It's come back up here to the home place and it's resting there. The only other things that you can do is you can clean your plexiglass and you can clean off your camera. But after that's done, you're good to go again. I'm going to power it off, flip the laser back up to 90 degrees so it homes in the back, and then I will call it good. Now the reason why I powered it on and let it come to the front first and then powered it down so that it can return to the back is, remember, we had that head sticking out so far that if we had tried to go 90 degrees with it, we'd hit something. So we let it come up here, and as it come to the home over here, it retracted the lens back into where it needed to be. So then we shut it off, put 90 degrees. We don't have to worry about hitting nothing down here, and we can let it go back up in there. Like, share, follow, and comment. And let me know what you think. Let me know what you need.